This love runs deep, so deep. So cold was the night, I could not sleep.
It's Wednesday evening. You're listening to Mystic Moon Cafe with Wendy Schindler and Travis Short. Every week, we will interview guests that are experts in various fields of the supernatural, paranormal, unexplained, and esoteric. So sit back and let us take you on a journey to educate, enlighten, and entertain as we broaden your horizons. Now, here's your hosts, Wendy Schindler and Travis Short. You're listening to Mystic Moon Cafe. The views and opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the network, or our sponsors.
And that was Katie Ginn and the girls. Cold was the night because cold is the night in Kansas City. Hi, it's Wendy. Travis?
Oh, yeah, it's Wendy. That's about all I got. And I'm Travis. And it is not as cold in Kentucky as it is, obviously, there in the great state of Missouri for you.
That's right, because misery loves company.
Yes, it does. It is. I mean, it is chilly here. It's windy. I get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I saw that.
It is windy here, but it's not too horribly cold. But except in the dark recesses of my heart and soul, and it is like a fridge there.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, and it is the season.
Mm-hmm. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here going, I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. But how?
Real quick, Travis. Hi, Samantha. Yes. Thanks for joining us tonight. Here we are.
I get. We must have somewhat. We have a peanut gallery.
We do have a peanut gallery this evening. Yay!
Oh, awesome.
Boy, I hope it shows. I hope it all shows.
Well, we, kind of a real kind of last minute change in the way things go, but that's how we fly here at Mystic Moon. That's how we roll.
Yes, it is. With the punches, right? We
roll with the punches. We've earned our street cred that way. Oh, I know. You know what I should have done is I should have just sent the audio file from my interview today, because I had my first international celebrity interview on the AM station this morning.
Who did you have?
I had the
Jolly One himself.
I had the Jolly One himself. I had Santa Claus, Saint Nick, Kris Kringle, Sinterklaas, whatever name you know him by. He was my guest on Town Talk this morning, and it was great because I got firsthand information into things about Santa. Found out exactly. He actually does enjoy cookies and milk. His favorite meal is a grilled steak with chocolate chip cookies.
Apparently, because who doesn't love that?
Well, apparently chocolate chip cookies just go with frickin' everything, according to him.
Yes, they do. Absolutely.
I wouldn't know because I don't like sweets.
Blasphemer.
I know. But I had a great. His favorite Christmas song about himself is "Here Comes Santa Claus." Of course, Elvis Presley's version, none other. So it was a great show. We should have just played that tonight, but we had scheduled one of our recurring guests, Bill Bean, who is one of Bill's been on the show probably almost as many times as you and I have, in all honesty, but in different iterations of the program. When it was early on, when it was you and Justin, and then, you and I over the past couple of years, and then different times as Bill has been a guest. But Bill was supposed to be on with us tonight talking very first time that Bill has wanted to. And I'll talk a little bit more about this when we bring on our guest, because Bill sent us a replacement for him, a life model decoy of Bill Bean, using a Marvel term. But we have a very special guest that I'll be introducing in just a moment. But Bill was unable to. Bill actually had to fly out yesterday for an emergency exorcism / deliverance in South Carolina. Now, I find it just a little ironic that he had to have an emergency deliverance in South Carolina in the wintertime. I mean, he's not going north. He's not going up to upstate New York where he goes a lot, but he gets to go to the beautiful sunny shores of South Carolina. I'm a little bit suspicious of that, but I'll take care of that with Bill myself one-on-one.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, Bill had to shoot down to South Carolina, so he has sent someone to interview in his stead. But Bill called me up back in November, and he had performed an exorcism, a deliverance, and it really had rattled him. It was probably, according to Bill, it was one of the most difficult and most eventful deliverances that he had performed in all of his years of doing this. And it really rattled him, and he really wanted to come on and talk about it. But he had someone who assisted him, and we'll be bringing her on in just a moment, and we're going to talk to her. But we have tonight Psychic Tia Bell from the A&E Network, Psychic Tia program. She is going to be our guest tonight. We're very excited to have her on. We always love bringing new guests onto the show as much as we love bringing our recurring guests back on. But we'll be bringing her on in just a few moments to talk about this particular deliverance, talk about her life as a psychic, her calling, her ability, and just as always with our program, it's very fluid. So we will see how things go. And by fluid, I mean I'm drinking wine, and who knows what Wendy's drinking. I can't even pronounce what you were drinking. So
Rum chata?
Yes, yeah.
And then mango, Mike's Hard mango soda or something, lemonade, something.
See, hard
almost frozen. And man, it's a whole lot like a pina colada with a mango twist.
If you like pina colada,
I should have expected that.
getting caught in the rain. Something with a mango flavor, I don't know, and down with pain. I don't know how. It's been one of those weeks again. Have you noticed most of my weeks start every week I have is one of those weeks? I
have noticed that quite a bit.
I know it really is anymore. It's just like okay. I just expect them anymore. It's like people go, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. It's does the day end in Y? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So anyway. I am not, it is the holiday season. I am doing my damnedest to be jolly. It is not, I'm not going to bemoan some of the things that have gone wrong in the past week or so.
Oh, that would be a first. Oh, did she say that out loud?
She went there. My God, she went there. Oh. Damn. Oh, well. Yeah, you did. And
she's repressing a lot herself, so yeah.
Fine. I will just unload a rant that is of biblical epic proportions.
I will mute you and bring on the guest.
Oh God, it was funny. I was doing a consult last night with my political client, and both the campaign manager and the deputy campaign manager were on. We were on till well after midnight last night, and at one point, I was asking questions of the campaign manager, and he just wasn't there. And I kept, going, Joel, and finally he's like, I'm sorry. He said, my chin had accidentally muted the phone. He said, what I was saying was, I said, you don't really have to explain. I said, quite frankly, I mute the phone when you're talking all the time anyway.
Oh, burn.
I know. Well, I was actually, we were doing a mock interview, and I'll finish with this, and we'll put the song on, and we'll call Tia. I was going to say I was doing this mock interview with my political client because she had her first radio interview this morning, and just in a parenthetical, the host had sent me the wrong telephone number, which I then had sent her, but I hadn't paid enough attention to his messages on Messenger. He had mistyped the number, and then a couple messages later had resent it, and I didn't see that, so I just copy and pasted the first one that I saw. And so she was calling in, and it was like this, how to get a Walmart gift card for adding money to it and things like that. Anyway, so my day started out bad this morning. I mean, I wasn't even in my office before my phone was ringing and crap was going wrong. But anyway, we were doing this mock interview, and I was asking the questions, and I told him, I said, I'm going to be in interview mode. I said, so the campaign manager and the deputy campaign manager were listening into the interview. I said, you guys take notes and you critique, because I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be in full method actor mode. So I was interviewing and everything. And then Joel, after we did the first round, he's like, okay, he said, he called Vanjie his name, and he's like, here's what you need to be doing. And he started trying to ask the questions again, and he just was butchering it. And he's like, oh, hell. He said, Travis, you just go back and do it. I said, no, but it's cute when you try. Do it again. Do it again.
Uh-huh. Shame on you.
Yeah,
Now,
shame is
can we say the name of the candidate yet, or is that
we,
still taboo?
well, no, we can. Vanjie Williams,
Yes.
is who's actually been on the show a couple years ago, I believe. Not
Yes.
not on this particular program, but on another iteration of our talk show.
Right.
But Vanjie is running for the congressional seat in the first district of Virginia. That is a very large district in northern Virginia. It's basically the Fredericksburg, Prince George counties, city area, just basically in between like Richmond and Virginia Beach. So it's a very large swath of northern Virginia there. But she has thrown her hat in. She's about a year into campaigning. The primary coming up in May. It's a very stiff competition. There are about 5 other individuals running for the nomination on the Democrat ticket, which is what she's running for, and there is a Republican incumbent. She is, however, I have to say, and this is not because she's my client, but after watching some of the things the past year or so, she really is making a lot of headway. She's getting a lot of recognition, drawing a lot of attention in a very good way. So I think there's definitely some possibilities for her in 2018 in the midterm elections. So, but yes, she is. We can officially now call her name and say what she's running for, and say go Vange Williams.
Go Vanjie, get 'em, sick 'em, girl.
Williams 2018. There you go.
Well, she's so much fun, though. I mean, when she came to Kansas City, we got together and
I forgot that you guys got together when she was in Kansas City.
Yes.
I totally forgot that. See,
very intelligent, very, the conversation was nonstop. We had a blast.
Yes.
It was a little bit like frickin' frack because she's a very tall woman and I am not.
Okay, see, you say she's very tall, and I don't see Vanjie as being tall. But then again, I'm 6'2",
right?
And Glenn, her husband's about my height. And actually, I just met Vanjie. Vanjie's been my client for 7 years, almost 8, and I just met Vanjie for the first time in November.
Oh my! Okay, when you went to that,
and when I went up,
deal real
the press
quick.
the press conference, So that was the first time I had met Vanjie. So it was great. Had a great time. Met her. Met Glenn. Met Joel, the campaign manager. Jen Smith, the deputy campaign manager, Mickey, who is kind of the administrative assistant for Joel and Jen, and just really had a good time there in Fredericksburg, meeting Vanjie and them, and putting on the press conference and things like that. But enough, I say. Why don't we put on, what song are we playing when we call Tia?
Why don't we put on "The Mystic" by Adam Jensen while we're doing that? Sound like a plan?
Okay.
Alrighty, I will.
All like a plan to me.
I think we'll just do it then. Audience? Audience says, survey says. Alright, here we go. The Mystic.
Peanut Gallery.
Got a head full of spiders and a heart that isn't here. In a room full of lighters, all my demons reappear. Broken cigarettes and bullet holes. One more to the chest and I'm alone. Nothing gets me any higher, and nothing ever will. Tried to stay sober, tried to stay clean. Wake me when it's over, like a bad dream. Mama doesn't call, sister never writes. Bet you they would laugh if I called to say goodbye. No one's gonna worry and notice when I'm gone. No, they won't know I'm missing till they pull me out the mystic. Nobody can remember what color eyes are on my face. I'm a freak, I'm a pretender. I never really had a place. Broken cigarettes and bullet holes. One more to the chest till I'm alone. Nothing gets me any higher, and nothing ever will. Tried to stay tried to stay clean. Wake me when it's over, like a bad dream. Mama doesn't call, mystic. Tell the preacher not to pray. There's no angels where I go. Only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home. Tried to stay sober, tried to stay clean. Whack me when it's over, like a bad dream. Mama doesn't call, sister never writes. Bet you they would laugh if I called to say goodbye. No one's gonna worry and notice when I'm gone. No, they won't know I'm missing till they pull me out the mystic. Tried to stay sober, tried to stay clean. Whack me when it's over, like a bad dream. Mama doesn't call, sister never writes. Bet you they would laugh if I called to say goodbye. No one's gonna worry and notice when I'm gone. No, they won't know I'm missing till they pull me out the mystic.
And that was Adam Jensen with The Mystic. And on the line, we do have Tia.
We do, and we are very, very fortunate tonight. You know, I was mentioning we love our reoccurring guests, and we do have, you know, what I love about our show, Wendy, is that people want to come back. They actually.
Me too. They're not running from us anymore. We don't have to chase them down.
I know, and now we actually have publicists, you know, like I used to do years ago, you know, calling up saying, hey, they want to be on your show, or hey, they've got a new book, or hey, they've got this, and we want to book them on Mystic Moon. And like, well, sure, we want them. Send them our way. Stop doing that.
My mouse hit my mic. Sorry.
If I had a dime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, we love our reoccurring guests because they are, you know, the Mystic Moon Mafia. We've kind of dubbed, you know, our Mystic Moon family that way. Someone said, why not call them Mystic Moon family? I'm like, well, I like alliteration and we like to be badass a little bit. So we're the Mystic Moon Mafia.
The talkers of badassery.
Yes, and Mafia is family, if you're Italian.
Familia.
So, Familia, yeah. So we love when we have these folks come back on. Bill Bean was supposed to be on tonight. Bill has been on the show numerous times, like I said at the beginning. And Bill actually called me back a couple weeks ago and specifically requested to come on the show tonight to talk about a particular deliverance that he performed on October the 27th of this year. Bill, of course, got called to another emergency deliverance in sunny South Carolina. Again, I am a little suspicious of a southern trip this time of year, but Bill and I will talk about that. But he sent us psychic Tia Bell to talk to us tonight because she actually was with him during that deliverance. Now, I'm going to read you Tia's bio, and then we're just going to bring her on, and we're going to talk about her. We're going to talk about this deliverance. We're going to talk about her gift and her life in general, and we'll just kind of, as we often do here on Mystic Moon Cafe, it is really like 3 people, 4 people, depending on the number of guests, sitting around in a pub and a bar, having a few drinks, talking, getting to know one another. We like that conversational approach. But Tia is a psychic medium. She has been blessed with a God-given ability to provide others with insight, guidance, and direction. She gives spiritual advice to support her clients. The gift became evident when she was 3 years old, so we definitely want to talk about how that happened. When she began to experience visits from the deceased. She spent most of her life concealing this ability, as many of the psychic mediums that we've had on the show have done. They hide that because of the stigma that's attached. She was actively reading and advising family and friends by the age of 11. The turning point in her life occurred when she experienced a near-death experience. Something else I want to touch on, because several of the psychic mediums that have been on the show, and some that I represented as a PR consultant, have had that same type of experience. The impact caused Tia to leave a life she once knew in law enforcement. Again, something we want to discuss. My mother's side of the family are all law enforcement here in Virginia. I'm like the black sheep. I went to the dark side, which is advertising. She knew at this time that the turn of events is now to help others, not with a gun, but with her psychic medium abilities. After many appearances in The Real Housewives of New Jersey, she was chosen by A&E for a season of her own show called Psychic Tia. Although the show was well received, it concluded and wrapped after one season. She looked forward to embracing new developments and constantly spreading the word of Wicca and psychic abilities throughout the nation. Again, something very similar to several guests we've had in the past year. Obviously, she is Wiccan. We'll talk about that. Stay tuned for future events and more of what is going to happen and what I think this says, what this witch has up her sleeve. I would not call you that without your permission, but I am reading verbatim from your bio. So we will say what this witch had, and yep, up her sleeve. So Tia, thank you so much for joining us on Mystic Moon Cafe tonight.
Hi, how are you guys?
We are typical for us. I think we're pretty good.
We're doing fine. Thank you. How are you today?
I'm good. Well, I'm starting. Well, for starters, definitely the badass cop, and I'm also Italian, so I think we're going to get to a great start off here between the three of us.
I think so. Please tell me that you're having some vino tonight, because I am.
You know, I do this segment on my Facebook called Tea with Tia, where we allow people to come in and ask questions about the supernatural, or if they're, going through something dark, we try to help them. And I'm still having my tea, so maybe vino. When we're done with this, I might need a glass.
That'll be. We can have an after party, and we'll all we'll just sit around and have a few drinks. So,
I'm all about it.
We used to have a segment on the show called the Mystic Moon Mixer, but apparently I had a little too much mixing one night, and Wendy told me we couldn't do that anymore. So,
listen, it's a way. It's a coping. It's a way to cope with reality and some of the stuff we have. So I'm all for it.
Oh, you have no idea.
I do, but I do. Oh, but I do.
Oh my God! So we now. See, right now my mind is going like 20 different directions because there's so many areas that I want to start.
Hold on just a second with that. I want to be sure that I relay the chat room. Let's see, there's a Pat M and a Jackie N who are both saying hello to Tia. The shop was closed today. Were you okay, or was it just a special day?
No, I'm in the shop. I'm here. I'm in the shop right now. So, and I want to give a shout out. That's my nephew, Matthew. So I want to give him a big shout out. My little love. I just adore him.
Oh, okay, good.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, we welcome them to the chat room.
It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy having an aunt that's a witch, amongst other things.
I had an aunt or two that was kind of like a witch, but we don't have to go there either.
I don't know. I have a couple of exes that are witches. I mean, I'm just.
The difference is, are they cauldron stirring, or are we just going after the title?
It's up in the air, really. The struggle is real. The struggle is real.
I'm more pagan leaning myself. So
can't even say it. How can you be it?
Well, because I can.
Because I said so. You've had that rum chata. So I know this is.
It's
I think
that much.
I'm gonna have. We have to cut.
There's a little witch in all of us.
That's right.
Oh. Well, I've met some big ones too. So I don't know about the little ones, but I've met some pretty big ones. I'm just saying.
Oh, now don't bait me already. We just started.
You're allowed to go after him all you want. Yeah.
Everybody does. I have a giant bullseye.
It's okay. I'm not a timid little flower, so I'm sure we'll be just fine.
I'm sure we will.
And even if you were, you would not be by the time the show concluded at 11 o'clock.
Oh, well, then that might be an exorcism from Bill if we stay at this level.
An intervention.
Exactly. Divine Intervention by Bill Bean. That actually, you know what? There's the title for his reality TV show I've been trying to help him with. We'll just call it Divine Intervention with Bill Bean. Anyway, I'm tabling that over here for later. I brainstorm in my head and I get my best ideas whether anybody else thinks they are or not. So
just write them down.
Well, I can't. I've got my wine in one hand and I got my mouse in the other, and I do mean never mind. Anyway, shut up, Wendy. I want to I don't want to get right into the deliverance because I want to kind of build up to that. What I do know about this deliverance that you helped Bill with, which was on October 27th, if my date's correct, that's what Bill told me, and that's what I wrote down. I believe it was October 27th of this year.
Correct.
This particular deliverance. Now, and for individuals who are just joining the show, maybe for the first time tonight, Bill Bean is a he's still an active client that I consult with from time to time on his marketing and his public relations. Bill wrote a book called Dark Force, which is about his life story growing up in a home terrorized and traumatized by a demonic presence that literally destroyed his family. The interesting thing about Bill's story, it's very similar to what you see in the movie The Conjuring. It's very similar to what you see in the Amityville Horror and some of these other stories. The difference is that Bill grew up to become what he terms a deliverance minister, what the Catholic Church and other denominations would call an exorcist. He goes around the country performing deliverances / exorcisms on individuals who are either experiencing demonic possession or demonic oppression. And Bill's been on the show many times. We've talked about this, but Bill never has wanted to talk about the exorcisms and the deliverances themselves. However, something about October 27th rattled Bill. And I don't even know what that is because Bill has only given me a snippet of the story because he was supposed to come on tonight and tell us the whole thing. However, as I mentioned, he had to fly to South Carolina to perform a deliverance, and so Tia is on tonight to talk about that because, if I'm not mistaken, you assisted in this deliverance. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And you did so because the individual who was experiencing the possession or oppression is actually one of your clients.
That would be correct.
So let's kind of pick up from there and let's explain to our listening audience what your clients are, the type of clients that you have, who comes to you, why they come to you, and then you can kind of segue into this particular event and we can start talking about that. And then we'll talk about your background, your past, and we'll kind of intersperse it throughout the entire conversation, finding out how this became a way of life for you.
Okay. Well, we have a very eclectic clientele of people. I mean, I read anyone from law enforcement to a secretary to someone from Wall Street, doctors, lawyers. It's really about the fact that once somebody walks in here, they are actually just an everyday average human being. Their profession, of course, comes up during their readings, but it's a different type of atmosphere to come into. We try to leave things behind and come in and be clear so that we could start off on a good foot, energy level wise. So I've been reading people. I have regular clients that come. It's been a really long time. We're in business now, and I have my own shop, which is my little playhouse. And so we do a lot of work here. We do a lot of Wiccan work. We do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We have our readings, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place that we help people. That's the basic that we want to do, is we want to change lives.
Very nice.
So it really is. People think, they watch too much TV, and it's been such watching television and seeing in a movie, if I hear Whoopi Goldberg discuss about she was never a psychic, but she played one in a movie, so now she thinks she can talk about it. I want to lose my mind. I really want to lose my mind because it was so far-fetched, that scene, that when she brings up and discusses what spirits are, she is so wrong. And Whoopi, if you could hear me, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. So,
you just went after Whoopi Goldberg on our show. Oh my God, I love this.
You know what? I'm good with that. Really.
So are we.
I deal with spirits, and I deal with spirits and medium work every day of my life. I go in, I clean, and I cleanse houses that have energies in there that do not want to leave, that are going after the people that live there. I'm not sitting on a desk on national television doing no work whatsoever in Supernatural and trying to explain to people what it's about and be wrong. So I do this for a living, and I back it up. I walk the walk, I talk the talk, and this is my world. I do this. I've done this all my life. So the level, though, that I never wanted to dance with was the darkness. Mm-hmm. You know, I would see entities that would be on a dark side that would be earthbound. They didn't want to go. Yeah, they wouldn't want to go because it was the same place as going to jail. Nobody wants to go there. So rather than attack the unknown, they stay around.
Right.
With this, you know, and part of all of my work, I really have to tell you, and I said this on my TV show, I really don't want to deal with the devil. It's not my place. It's not my work. I don't want to go there. You know, we all have our sections that we work in that make us the masters of what we do, which Bill Bean is in his part that he works with demonic presence. So Bill and I had a mutual friend, and he kept saying, I think you and Bill should meet. I think you should talk. You know, we are from the same plane, so to speak. Mm-hmm. We talked and we just hit it off, you know. There was a bigger storyline behind this of me and Bill being brought together that we were both quite shocked about. But there was a bigger force that said, we need to unite. So I had been called to do a haunted house. We say haunted house, not like October 31 haunted house. A house with spirits that were in there that are talking to a young child, that are not showing themselves to the adults, allowing me to think that these are something that are much more
diabolical.
I hate to say this, but diabolical and trying to hurt a 3-year-old.
Right.
So we were going in on this case.
Oh, my.
And so I was starting to get signs in my house. I was starting to get signs. I was starting to see things outside. My dog was barking at things in my home. The energy shifted and changed. I was well aware of what was there. I worked so much with God, and I worked so much on the other side and with my spirits that are around me. So I'm very comfortable. But I thought we were running into that. I thought that we were going into that home, and they were saying, listen, girl, get out. Get out, move out. We don't want you here. So I started to say, okay, if there's something, and this was just making me gear more and more to get my team together to go in and cleanse this house up. Sure. So I come in, right, because this is, you know, so we know we're going there. We know there's something in there. There's actually 2 that are in the home. Mm-hmm. The old man that's there wasn't showing me anything on an evil presence, but there were 2 that were showing themselves that they were. So that's where we thought we were going, and this was being presented to us with the team that we were going in with. But God showed us that he is now going to take us into another course. So I come into work that morning. I heard the night before something say that it was going to go after my dog.
Oh, so, boy, and it's on, right?
Yeah, it's on, girl. It was on. It was like, it was coming. I mean, I was working with a lot of white light. I was cleaning and cleansing my house. There was, you know, I do my own oils and I do my own holy water. I'm a reverend, by the way.
Oh, fantastic.
So working with my level. Excuse me?
Oh, I said that's fantastic. Good to hear. Mm-hmm. That you're a reverend.
Yeah, so we're, you know, I'm in this little combative. Mm-hmm. I'm in, you know, we're in this combative state, right?
Sure.
So with that, I come into work on a client that I see all the time. Not all the time, but, you know, a couple of months. I have regulars, and she's a regular. She's been plagued all of her life. She was sold at 6 years old. She was raped. The mother was, the brutality of child abuse was something that you wouldn't even be able to tolerate in a movie.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So she is under, you know, she is under doctor's care. And we do work together, and we've gotten through a lot of hurdles, her and I. So we have a beautiful relationship of trust. She normally kisses me and says, "T, I love you." And it's like a big love fest. I love you too, and we hug and kiss. That day was very different. That day she started to hug me, but scream, "Help me, Tia."
Oh, my word.
And so her body starts to rumble, And so now the cop in me says she's going into a seizure. So I'm like ready to bust out into my EMT, pull her away so she doesn't hit her head, thinking that this is going down on my floor and I'm going to have to work on her. It changes. The rumbling stops and there becomes a calm. After the calm starts, a child comes out. My gut, which is what psychics work with, we will feel things, hear things on a dime. And my instinct pulled in and said, this is no child. And I just looked it straight in the eye and I said, you are not a child. And we just went full textbook at that point. The cursing, the spitting. I turned to a friend of mine that happened to have walked into my shop and I said, you need to film this because this is my first, full face-to-face with a demonic presence. It's here. It's in front of me. You can feel the energy completely change in the room. I was like, oh no, you got to go back. You can't come out now. Yeah. Go back. I'll call you when you can come out, but now is not the time.
Right. Get out.
Yeah. It was, it's a Tuesday afternoon. It's a beautiful day out. All of a sudden, I've got demons rocking in my place. It was just unexpected. The thing is, before I left my house and it said it was going to go after my dog ate one of the large power lines to my treadmill.
Oh, no.
Had the treadmill been plugged in, he would have died. Mm-hmm. Divine intervention caused that treadmill not to be plugged in. This was not but the day before that I heard we're coming after your dog, only for it to be less than 24 hours before I have demons inside of my shop.
Wow.
So, I'm like, okay.
That's despite, I'm going to call it warding, but I'm sure you have all kinds of protections in place to help to deter such things.
Well, there's, on this level, I have to really say that all of my work as a police officer, because we're trained that anything that happens on a dime, you must be prepared for.
Sure.
So all
Gotta
of that,
be prepared.
all of that seemed to it started to take place.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's not a moment, when you're a cop and something happens, you can't be like, okay, this isn't a good time right now and I'm not ready. So that doesn't happen. You're trained for that.
Right.
You understand? So you start going into that mode. You start going into that cop mode when the situation started to arise. And I'm praying and, people around are praying. It's in the corner with its hands over the face and will not look at me. And so now I know I'm one up on it because it's like, I looked right in its eye. So it knew at that point, there's a person here that has a gift from God. There's a person here that is godly. There's a person here that I don't want to tangle with because there's a chance I'm going to be sent back to hell. Mm-hmm. But this, as I said, was like a Tuesday afternoon. No one was prepared for this. It's not like, okay, let's take out the holy water and the crucifix and the Bible. It was the end of a reading. So we kind of tried to keep it at bay till we got in touch with Bill, which is what I did.
Mm-hmm. Good plan.
So Bill was traveling. Excuse me?
I said good plan.
Oh, of course. I wasn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't the day for me to box. Mm-hmm. I wasn't ready to box. I wasn't going in the ring. So I called him and I said, look, I'm sending you footage because I want you to know the severity of this. This isn't something that I'm some crazy girl saying, she's possessed. I'm like, this girl really, she's a mess. She's a hot mess. So he looked at me, he's like, Tia, you really, that's the truth. She needs my help. I go, yes, she does. Now, how the hell I got dragged into it, God only knows, but I did. Because it wasn't exactly, like, I was good where I was at. I was good. But Bill said that due to the fact that this object came into and came out and was there, this demonic presence, I need to learn to combat. And he said it's not going to be the last. It's the first, but it's not the last. So I gratefully took my studies from him. And I was trying to check on the phone at the family phone, and I would call there to the home. The minute my voice would go over, she would turn into the hissing, the cursing, all of that. And I said to Bill, I can't even call there. Like, I think it's unsafe for the family members if I call there. So he makes it as soon as he can because he's just a fantastic guy. Mm-hmm. And we go to the house. So he's like, so Tia, let me tell you what I do. I look at him and I go, not today. It's not happening. I go, we just pulled in on a domestic. He's like, what? I go, we're not sitting down and having a talk with her, Bill. She's going to freak out when we walk in. I go, we're walking into a domestic situation right now. I go, which I know you don't know, but I don't know about the demon inside either, so you and I are even. So we got ready. We got out of the car. Bill does his thing, starting to make the ground, making it holy ground before we go in, making sure that we're protected. We opened the door. It wasn't 10 seconds that she doesn't bug out. Now, she's a big gal. Bill has to kind of wrestle her down. She's becoming violent. And it was just game on from the minute we opened the door.
Damn. Now, I want to stop right there for just 1 second, and I want to address a couple of things that you've said thus far, because I think it sheds some light on these particular situations. You brought up something that I have heard over and over and over again. Many of Bill's clients that he has worked with, where there has been demonic oppression and possession, have been or have experienced sexual molestation or sexual assault and things like that. There does seem to be at the very core of many of these cases that one common denominator. Is that something that you yourself have found to be true just in dealing with individuals when they come to you for psychic readings and dealing with the emotional and the psychological baggage and trauma that they bring with them?
Unfortunately, the amount of sexual abuse that I read and I work with is deplorable. Not only did I see it in my police work as a detective, but I see it now in my everyday work here at the shop. My shop is called The Craft. Mm-hmm. It is, when you take something so broken, I mean, there's such a different dichotomy of taking the child, such as myself, that I was very fortunate that I had two great parents that took me to my classes, allowed me to go to my Sunday school, allowed me to learn what faith is. Okay, so all those things being instilled are huge for who you grow into as far as having faith. None of these people and that type of a dysfunctional family is worried about teaching them the Word of God. They're not. So aside from the sexual aspect, they are never given the faith. And these children grow up, and there's absolutely nothing to stop it from its entrance. It's a void. It's a void. Mm-hmm.
And that is unfortunately the one of the really, really negative side effects is that void is left, and what fills it is the negative. And nothing is more negative than these demonic spirits and manifestations that you and Bill now have encountered together.
Yeah, I've had them before, The only difference was the problems that I had before was I wasn't doing the exorcism. So let's just go there for like a second, like a hot minute. That wasn't happening. And I would go literally walk into the clergy and go see the Catholic Church and have the talks with them. I've never been so ignored. Mm-hmm. And it was so frustrating to me because I would try to get these people help. I got one priest to help this one guy. I'm not lying to you. He took him to dinner and a movie. Okay?
Lovely. Yep. So there you go. That fixes everything. Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sure the devil enjoyed a pizza and a good flick, but it wasn't working out too well for me. So, you know, it's really great that I have Bill now, that I can work with him, that when this type of situation, and we're kind of in it together. So anything on the East Coast, you know, I'll go with. My family's not too thrilled about my new venture, but it is what it is. It's part of what I do in life. Mm-hmm. They're really not. They're like, you're not bringing, like, you know, Satan home with you for dinner, are you? So it is scary because it's very real. And the thing is, when you watch the movies or you watch the documentaries and you see those things, when you actually see it for the first time, it is very textbook. Mm-hmm. It is very textbook. I actually knew what I was seeing the day in my shop just because of what it was doing. It was just very textbook. Everything I've been taught to know, to see what it is. So you know, the day we go there with Bill, we're really good together. We're a great team, and we're comfortable. It's like we knew each other all our lives, and like we've done 10 exorcisms. But it was, you know, it was all of that laughing, hissing, biting, you know, and Bill's like, T, go in and get the Bible, and I need you to get this. And I'm like, look, I looked at him, I go, do you remember who I am? I'm like, let me get on top of her. So I got on top of her and I pinned her. Been trained to do this. And grab the stuff that you need. I'm good. Good. Mm-hmm. Because it got to the point where the violence was kicking in. The biting was coming out. The hissing was coming out. The cursing was coming out. The spitting. So, you know what? This was nothing bad than a bad inmate that I actually had to arrest years ago.
Right.
Just saying. A lot of similarities, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, and Bill's just so, there's a beautiful thing that he has in his prayer. There is such power, and it is just so beautiful. And he's actually very relaxed during it. There's so much strength that he upholds that strength during the time that he's working, and he's just at peace so much. And that's why it works so fluent for him when he's trying to get that nasty demon back to hell. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have been freaking out and, you know, calling for my mom or something at that point.
I was really comfortable, ironically enough, but, you know, I'm a little strange. We all know that. But it was like and it was because I was with him. If I was with anyone else, you know, I don't think I would have been nearly calm as I was. I was really calm with it. Mm-hmm. And then we worked with the water and the baptism and the constant sending the demon back. And we were probably about 2.5 hours at her that day.
Holy cow.
And, yeah, you know, it snarls, it smirks, it, you know, at one point turned around and looked at me, and he had asked her a question because he would never direct it to the demon. And he said something to her, and with that, you know, you heard the demon in a snarly face say something to me like, go ahead, Tia, will you tell us, Tia? Mm. And, you know, it does that. That whole play thing, it's that psychological warfare. If you can't handle it, you shouldn't do it because it is going to go in that direction.
Oh, sure.
But he looks at it dead in the eye, Bill. He doesn't play. It's like a bullseye.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you a question, and I'm going to kind of have you switch back into your law enforcement mentality for just a second. I mentioned.
Oh, that's dangerous.
we love danger on this show. I mentioned my mother's family here in Virginia are all law enforcement. They were police officers. They were Department of Corrections. So I grew up in that family. My uncles, my cousins, everybody was law enforcement. So I've heard stories. I've heard all of the stories my uncle, who had started out as an MP in the Army. He came out and he was a town cop, and then he became a deputy sheriff, and he was a criminal investigator. Then he became a prison guard. Then he trained prison guards. Then he retired and became a U.S. Marshal. But when he was a prison guard, he was the one.
Very cool.
When there were riots, there's actually a maximum security prison here in my hometown. And when there were riots, he was the one that they would call in. And actually, one of the stories that he told one time was, there was a prisoner who had one of the guards, and he had a makeshift shiv up to his neck, and my uncle walked in and just looked at him, and I heard this actually from the warden himself. He said, your uncle walked in and looked at him, and he said, one of us is leaving here dead, and it's not going to be him, and it's not going to be me.
Amen.
And the guy put the knife down, and they handcuffed him and put him in solitary and things like that. So I understand law enforcement. In another life, I was a chaplain for the sheriff's department in the county where I lived. So I went on calls.
Very cool.
I went on calls with deputies on a regular basis, and rode along, and not only would minister to the families, but also would minister to the deputies as well. So my question to you is this. Experiencing what you experienced from this demonic manifestation, and I'm playing devil's advocate here with this, how do you know the difference between a true demonic manifestation and someone who has a mental illness?
That's a really, really great question, because it would be, once again in life, it would be knowledge. It would be knowledge. And it would be, and to be able to distinguish between the two, you know it. I mean, especially as a psychic, I would, I can see someone across the room, and I can tell you if they're, not playing with a full deck. I can tell you from, the other side of the room, X, Y, and Z. That's what I do. There's that energy shift. There's that change. There is that momentum. You can't fake that. I've seen inmates fake just about anything that you want to say. Seizures, heart attacks, jumping off the top of cots to try and kill themselves. I've seen psych wards. So visually what they are capable of. You can't fake this. You can't fake it. So in and of itself, that moment in time, what you're being confronted with. And that's what I'm going to say. That word, what you're confronted with. It is a confrontational moment that you're there, like a lot of the other times in law enforcement. So it was very much, I didn't know if she, during the time that I was praying in front of her, if she was going to strike out. I was in a stance. If she was going to pull a hand out, strike me to go near my face. If she was going to start to strangle me. Look, she was biting me and Bill that day. She didn't get to do it, but she certainly gave a world a try. Mm-hmm. So you do know.
Yeah, I've heard Bill talk about his encounters and, describing someone who is possessed, literally becoming someone else. It's not that this is the same person pretending to be something. They literally are not the person that you met minutes before. And it's not.
And I'm going to tell you this. They're gone.
Yeah.
They're not. They're literally gone. The eyes are the window to the soul. So if you and I were to walk into the room, the first thing I'm going to do as a psychic and a medium is I'm going to just latch onto your eyes. Everything is going to tell me about you right from those eyes. I'm going to tell you about your spirit. I'm going to tell you about who you are as a person. So when she, who I know well, was 1 minute was her, When it turned into that child who it tried to pretend to be, there was a void that I have never seen. A void. Her eyes were void. They were dark. There wasn't the light white pupil look of an eye. There was a dark glow of darkness and nothing there. Pure void.
Like a shark's eyes when it catches, because I've heard Bill describe that very similar. The eyes just go black.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they weren't black like in some of the movies. So
right.
Before everybody starts flipping out at home,
right.
But it's like
I don't want you to think that.
Yeah, he says there's nothing
like,
there.
I'm having nightmares. Yeah, we don't want nightmares. It is correct. It is dark. It is a void. It is a very dark void, and almost like when I charged at it to say what it was behind it. Does that make sense to you if I say it like that?
It does.
Yes.
Somewhere inside of her. Yeah, it wasn't predominant in the eyes. It was behind her. And I said to Bill, I go, you really need to talk to me, okay? Because what I just saw is not right. Like you've got to land and get on the phone and call me back. Yeah, it wasn't fun. If anybody thinks it was a blast, AKA people, no. I went to church. I walked in the doors of the church where the holy water is. I picked it up with my hands and I drank it. So for everybody that doesn't think that's, the first time you see a demon, yeah, it kicked my butt. Yeah. I don't shake too easy. I'm a pretty tough girl. And, that thing hissing and cursing. And then the husband says to me, which was really wonderful, the child never did this before. I looked at him, I go, because it's not a child.
Right, exactly.
Okay, we're not playing pickup sticks. I've got a demon in front of me, honey. But the poor man is a Vietnam vet who has the heart and soul of like the most beautiful man. And he thought his wife was ill, mentally ill, and so he stopped his life. He wouldn't ride his motorcycle. He wouldn't go out of the house. He's retired. He would make sure that he took care of her because these kids would come and they would create havoc throughout his house. So he was afraid like one of them would set the house on fire.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know that it was, demonic presence. He had no idea.
Which has to be an extraordinarily frustrating, but at the same time, very, very sobering fact when you realize that what you've been living with. How long had this been manifesting in your client?
Long time, honey. Long time.
So he had been he had been used to we'll say the peculiarities of his wife.
They just started though, like the little girls. I would have to say a year.
Okay.
That, but so it must have it's been manifesting. It has to have been manifesting.
So there it wasn't like it necessarily couldn't be that it just happened overnight. There had to have been subtle buildups along the way. So obviously there had been some
I think
oddities. So. Yeah. That has to be a sobering fact when you realize that all these little strange quirks that had been manifesting in your partner of ever how long they've been married, it wasn't it wasn't a mental illness. It wasn't them being strange. They had a demon inside of them.
An insidious entity making its way into their lives. Yep.
Yeah. That has to be a sobering realization.
Stopping their lives. It's more like their life was on hold. It stopped it. And here's the thing, and I've known this in my past because it's prevalent around, especially when you work in law enforcement. There is a lot of evil. There is. It's abundant. It's running rampant through the earth. It's real all over the place. Do we get it out to the point that it happened with what happened into my shop? No. But it's real, and it's just nice to know that if something does happen like this again, people call me all the time for help, and that's what I'm here for. You know, I'm a big jokester, but when push comes to shove, I'm here to make a difference. And it's nice that I have Bill that's going to be the one to do the work for the people that need it, if indeed this situation arises again.
So you guys battled for, you said, roughly 2.5 hours with this demonic entity.
Yeah.
You've mentioned the hissing, you've mentioned the spitting and the voice. What other manifestations took place while you all were battling this particular demon? And was the demonic presence, was it, and this is a conversation Bill and I have never even had, but it's a question I think that is kind of looming there in the background. Was this do demonic spirits have gender? Was this a male demon, a female demon? Was this what type of characteristics did this demon have?
I definitely psychically would say that I felt it to be more masculine. I have to tell you that. The other thing was, you know, listen, we talked about this before, the textbook, the Holy Trinity. So now what's happening is, so it's, you know, it's like that unleashing. It's like that Bernie Madoff of exorcism. It's lying secret and dormant. And all of a sudden there's this massive explosion. So what does it want to do now? Now it's out. Everybody knows about it. So now it wants to hurt the person in which it's inside of. Mm-hmm. It wants to begin to hurt that person. So she was being scratched. She had the Holy Trinity all down her arm. She was starting to injure herself. And that was predominant during the point of entry. It definitely felt like it was on a masculine level from the beginning of time to the end. The beauty was working with the water. I followed Bill's lead, man. This was the first time I'm doing this. So you're the master. I'm coming in, but I'm not afraid to go at it either. That's my personality. So we both had her like pinned up, working with water, working with the baptism, get her cleaned up. And it didn't want to go. It did not want to leave. It was just sticking there. And at one point we just kind of looked at each other and we're like, we got this. We're doing good. And I'm not going to say fun because I don't want people to think this was an enjoyable situation, people, by far. But when you know, it's like being on a baseball team and you know you're winning, okay? Right. You know you're beat up, but you know you're winning. That's the feeling I could honestly say that the two of us had. And it was pretty awesome. It really was.
Now, you mentioned something, and this is Bill basically gives me a rundown, not every time he performs the deliverance, but the majority of the time, once he gets back and he's settled in, he always kind of will call and fill me in on things. But you mentioned something right then concerning the water and the baptism, and that is a central component of every exorcism and deliverance that I've known Bill to do, is that immediately, as soon as possible. And he doesn't wait to get to a church, and he doesn't wait to get to a font or a baptistry or a baptismal. He will baptize the person immediately in a bathtub, in a swimming pool, whatever. He will bless the water, and he will baptize them. So in this particular instance, where and how did you baptize this individual? And I'm just trying to get a visual for what's going on.
Well, first we brought her upstairs, and we worked on her in the shower. And then that was at that point where we were trying to get the demon to get out of her. And then I drew the bath and put the salts in it. So you see, we do at my shop, anytime you do any sort of work here, you have to take a bath and you have to use the salts that I give you. So he's like, draw the bath. And I'm like, oh, I do that all the time. So there was the holy water. There was the salts that we used. There was the bath water. And so then she went into the tub, and it was at that moment that she was, baptized, that Bill had baptized her, and that we were in, and I really mean this, we were in intense prayer. Intense prayer. And just at that moment, it was just like breaking a fever. And I really want it to be like that. That's that split second of that relief, that she became her again. And then everybody was just crying. I mean, it was just such a moment of crying and just pure joy. It really was.
Now, like I said, you mentioned about 2.5 hours of battling. Now, this was on October 27th. 2.5 hours of spiritual warfare, going head to head, toe to toe with a demonic entity. My question is going to be twofold. We watch these movies, we see these Hollywood interpretations of what happens when the demonic entity releases and it's gone. And you just mentioned right there, all of a sudden she was back to normal. Is that all that it was? What was there was there more of a profound release? The demon had let go, and was there a sound? Was there a visual image? You as a psychic, did you see something that Bill may not have seen?
The curtains didn't fly open, like as in the movies. And, we didn't see this big, huge gray monster. So, yeah, thank you for the movies on that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, oh, yeah. It didn't go down like that. By the way, her skin was fine. But because they love to make it where there's they have open sores on their face, like they're crackheads. It's nothing like that. So there was that moment that you did feel that energy shift change. It's the energy during that is erratic at best. It's very erratic. It feels very toxic. So when you're in tune to energies and you work with them all day long, you definitely can feel that. You can feel that change, that anxiety off of you, that feeling of it being there all starts to calm down. The lights didn't get brighter. We didn't hear the angels sing. It was truly being a moment of being involved and in line with the situation to know that there was a shift.
Okay. And that stands true to the things that Bill has said in the past, that it really is a change in the energy of where you are, that everything kind of, there's a peace where there wasn't before. Now, the second part of my question is this. This was October 27th, almost 2 months ago. Has the peace maintained itself with your client, or do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you sense that it's going to stay that way? And I'm not asking as a psychic. I'm just saying, based on what you saw and experienced, do you think that the demon fully released your client, or is this something that you and Bill may end up encountering yet again?
Well, as I tell most of my clients that come here, I'm not a boardwalk psychic, so you don't just do a drive-by shooting. You have homework when you leave here.
Sure.
So it is. Yeah. Excuse me.
I said sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I tell people they have homework. It's like it's something that you need to improve. So there's literally homework when you leave here, and that's what she has. So as long as she embraces and she works with Jesus and she does what she needs to do and she keeps that piece of faith inside of her, that is going to be that white light that's going to keep herself from that distance of harm. And we reiterated with her that we need her to do this. And I do check with her usually once a week. Now,
one of the things that I know from conversations with Bill is that this type of manifestation, possession, many times is generational, and it attaches itself to a family. Now, does your client have children, grandchildren? Is there the possibility that this may pass through the family and move on to someone else?
Well, she doesn't have any children, so, we're okay there. And I really think it's going to stop where it is. I don't foresee it moving. I really think that these two energies, because I believe there were two in there, because there were always two little girls. So these two
Okay.
demonic presences, I believe, are sent back to hence where they came from.
Okay. So obviously you're staying in touch with this client, and you're talking
Always.
and ministering. Yes. Now you mentioned that you have you and Bill are kind of like good cop, bad cop now. So you guys are going to be tag teaming some of the demonic manifestations on the East Coast, which I think is great. Bill has asked me on several occasions if I would go with him to document and videotape, and I told him I would love to. I would love that opportunity. Just, of course, not for broadcast or anything like that, but for, let me ask you, because you came out of law enforcement as well as having performed an exorcism. Looking back on it, do you wish that you could replay and watch it objectively to see what was going on, to see if there were things that you missed?
I have it so embedded in my mind that it's not really hard for me to look back on it all, and I don't think it's ever going to leave. And I really have to tell you, I don't think we missed a beat. I really don't. I don't think we did. And we just really worked so well together, and I followed what he did, and we both have such strong faith. And I didn't know what I was doing, so I kind of just went in with his groove and went with the master guide and followed what he did and told me what to do. And we just really worked really well together. You feel for the family members in the house because it is a violent situation, and the good part was that I'm so close to the people that he was like, I know T is not going to let anything happen to her. She loves her. But if, on the outside looking in for these people, it's a little confrontational for them to think like, wow, what are we doing to them? Because we're not saying to a demonic presence, okay, can you please go back now? It doesn't go like that.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not that soft and cushy. So it's very, we're very in command. It is very, drill instructor. So we did work like that. And, I felt kind of bad for her husband. It's a little shocking. It's not the average norm for people, not at all.
Well, hopefully it's not.
Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
I mean,
it's starting to become mine.
That's what I was going to say. For Bill, it is. For Bill, this is the norm.
Totally. Totally. We went back and had dinner.
Exactly that, and that's what Bill does. He will do the exorcism, the deliverance, and then he often will go have dinner. I've talked to him immediately after an exorcism, and for Bill, I mean, it's another day at the office. It's what Bill does, and I don't mean that as it's his job and he gets paid to do it, but this is what Bill does.
It's his calling.
He helps people.
Mm-hmm.
It is his calling. It's he does it, and he doesn't miss a beat. However, like I said at the onset of the show tonight, for some reason, this particular deliverance rattled Bill. This one made Bill want to talk about them, and Bill typically doesn't. And Wendy knows, we've asked him a couple of times on the show. It's almost like pulling teeth trying to get Bill to talk about a deliverance. He'll talk about his past. He'll talk about what he endured. He talks about his family. But something about this one was very, very unnerving and unsettling to Bill. And obviously it was for you as well, because this was your first time encounter with something on this level.
And it was with someone that you were, you're friends with. It sounds like.
Yes, I really get to love my clients, and any of my clients that would be listening to this, they all know that there's a real sense of love. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. So, yeah, it was. It was very. Listen, it was disturbing. It was, but there is that phrase that said that going into battle. Mm-hmm. Your uncle went into battle that day when that guy was shanked. And he said to him, listen, it's you. It's not going to be us. It's going to be you. So you're leaving a body bag. So this is how it's going to go down. that's the same battle and demeanor that was taking with that, because this woman, it was very sad. I think that's what the part is. It was very sad what her mother did to her.
Mm-hmm.
Bill asked her to purge it, and when you listen to it, it's, in my years as a detective, it's still something that is just out of this world. It was evil straight from the beginning of time.
I'm trying to word this very carefully, because I don't want it to come across the wrong way. I'm just going to ask it. Why choose to do this again with Bill? With anybody in county? I mean, obviously this was unnerving for you. Why choose to do it again? Why go through? I mean, I've asked Bill that. Why the hell do you keep doing it, Bill? I mean, why?
It's the same oath I took as a police officer. I'm here to save lives. That's never going to change. That oath is going to follow me to the day I die, till I take my last breath. And if it so means that I'm going to be doing something where I'm saving someone on the street, or if it means that I'm going into your house and I'm saving you from something demonic, then so be it. That's what I'm sent to do.
Bravo. You're a protector and a warrior from the word go.
Yeah, it's, there's a certain part of Santara when you go into where they tell you who you are. And it's a very big day, and you have to go through all this religious day with them. And I just love all religions. I think they're all beautiful. And he looked at me and he said, through the books of where it comes out, Tia, you are a warrior. And that's exactly who I am, and we're never going to change it. That's probably why I'm single. Just saying.
Right? I don't have near your nerve, but I understand.
Like,
can I use that excuse for why I'm single the next time somebody asks?
No.
I'll just... Why not?
Oh, because it's really not... Oh, I'm sorry. We won't go into that on the show. This is not that kind of show.
We go. Yeah, so... It's very interesting how Bill got himself involved in doing this. It really is. And I'm so thankful that he is doing it. There's not too many people that want to egg this and take this on, man. It's crazy.
It is. And like I said, especially coming out of what Bill came out of his own life and what happened and just how traumatized that family was. For Bill to not be, and Bill, I'm sorry if I by stereotyping and throwing this picture out there, drunk or, a drug addicted meth head somewhere trying to cope with what happened to his family. Bill manned up. Bill stepped up to the cause, and Bill has now helped countless families, countless individuals all over this country and internationally, because Bill, one of the things that I have always found very interesting about Bill does not have to be on site with you to perform a deliverance or a cleansing. Bill does it over the phone. Bill does it via Skype. Bill does it.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And
well, he's got that presence.
Yeah, he does. He does.
And nothing even remotely like that, but we do the readings here where we do the readings over the phone. We do Skype with our readings. I'll do a lot of crossing over and work with spirits from the other side while we're on the phone or doing readings. And so it was we both have so many similarities. So it was very easy for us to gel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and, you and I were talking yesterday when you called me so we could start setting up the interview. The thing about Bill is Bill just has one of those personalities. In 7 years, almost 8 of knowing Bill, I've never encountered anyone who said, oh, yeah, I know Bill Bean. He's an ass. Or I don't like him. Or, everybody, Bill, when you come into contact with Bill, you automatically you almost become one with Bill. I mean, he just has a very welcoming presence and very welcoming spirit about him. He is a very, very good person. And you don't find a lot of good people in this life. But Bill is just unequivocally good.
Wouldn't he have to be in order to do what he does? I mean,
absolutely.
The demon is how do I want to say this? The demon is very intuitive to whom is in front of him. Mm-hmm. And Bill has taught me that. So it knows things. It knows who you are. It knows if you have the capabilities. If it doesn't and you don't, it's going to come at you. So, in and on that level, he has shown me a lot to learn about it, that if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have been like, hell to the no, not happening.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, it wasn't something I wanted to put in my bio. It just wasn't. But it's there now.
Yes.
But like he said to me, it's like, Tia, God had a different path for you, honey, and you have to go with that path now. And, there may come a time where there may have to be something that, he said to me that you pull back their hair and you rear that ugly demon back into hell. I'm like, okay, Bill, you'll be on the phone.
Yep.
But he, and he wouldn't let me have gone with him if he hadn't, if he didn't think that I could do the work. So,
right.
He said, when we left there, he looked at me and goes, T, I know grown men that would have been running down the street in the first 5 seconds. And, we laughed a little bit. You have to, because it was a blessing at the end that it was so joyful and tears and happy. So afterwards, when we sat and talked about it, I'm like, okay, we just got to go over this a little. Well, I have a big fat glass of wine. And we chuckled about it a little bit. We did. But when you heard her story, it was horrific. It was horrific. It's right up there. So I think when you bring up what could have disturbed him as bad as it did, I think it could be what she sustained as a young baby.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back for just a second to when I was reading your bio and introducing you. You have had this inherent ability since you were 3 years old. That's at least that's as far as your memory goes. I'm assuming could have had it before then.
Yes, it was there. Right.
What the hell's that like?
It sucks. It sucks. Don't let anybody tell you that it doesn't suck, because it does. Okay. I love when people think that you have this wonderful gift. And I looked at them and I look at them and I go, do you have any idea the fright I lived with all of my life? Why was I different? There was no computer. I wasn't Googling this stuff. You were landlines. You were locked. You were trying to say, what the heck am I? I'm like, I had the Dewey Decimal System. I hate to show my age, people, but like I had to go and go to the library.
I was trying to explain the Dewey Decimal System to my kids the other day, and they just didn't get it. My son's like, that just seems really complicated for something really simple. I'm like, well, yeah, it is, and it was, and it sucked. We were watching Stranger Things, the first season, and they go into the newspaper and they pull up the microfiche. Mm-hmm. and they're researching it. And my daughter, who's 13, she's like, "What's that?" I said, let's pause this and let Dad tell you about his college days when I was having to do research, and I had to go to the library and pull out the microfiche and the microfilm and load it. and then scroll through page after page after page of uselessness. It's kind of like, I said, it's kind of like ads and pop-up ads on the internet now. You have to scroll through them to get to the good stuff. I said, but that's what we did. So I feel you. I know exactly where you're coming from. Dewey Decimal System, microfiche, microfilm. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Remember when you had to look up a newspaper article? You asked how to look for it.
Yes. Although
God!
I know. Although you do come across some interesting things. I remember one of the very first projects that I had to do when I was in college was I had to research the day and the year that I was born in my hometown newspaper. So that was interesting, seeing what took place. Yeah, seeing what actually took place. And it was in doing so that I discovered there used to be a porno drive-in theater in my hometown.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, holy crap. Why is this not open today? And then,
the you left me at the drive-through. Can I tell you that?
Drive-in. It was a drive-in. Yeah, it was a drive-in.
Drive-in. You left me on that one.
We actually.
You know what? That was prior to what? Yeah. Which,
yeah, we
by
actually
the way,
still have...
my first TV appearance was on Cops as a hooker, so I can definitely relate to that story.
That's too funny.
That was my big debut.
Yes, and not many people get to say that. You know, not many people get to say that their debut was as a hooker on Cops, especially those who have been busted on Cops for being hookers.
You know, I never in my wildest dreams did I want to do this for a living. And there's so many people out there that are fake, that are trying to be wannabes. Mm-hmm. And it's very sad because you either have the gift or you don't. And I stress that to people that are listening, please hear me on that.
Now, and that brings up a different question or a different line of questions. But I do want to come back to your younger days at some point, because in your bio you talk about actually starting doing readings for family and friends when you were 11, and that is a very young age for such responsibility. But I want to digress for just a second. Do you find using the term psychic medium throws people off? I mean, have you ever wanted to call yourself something else and say,
oh, yes. But we've all said, what are we coming up with? Spiritual advisor? I mean, yeah, we've danced with all these words during meetings. Even when I was on A&E, we've all danced with them. And it just keeps going back to that 2 word, psychic medium. You have to, there's nothing else. You come up with one, you call me.
I'm working on it. Well, I mean, it's brand recognition, obviously. I mean, those are 2 words that people understand. But you have that negative connotation, like you were talking about, all these fakes that come out, all these people that are wanting to get recognition and claim that they're psychics and things like that. And charlatans. And charlatans, yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. And I represented a client, and I'm not going to divulge the name or anything like that, but she billed herself as a psychic medium. I had her for just a few months because we had a serious disagreement on where she wanted to go and what she wanted to do and how she wanted to brand herself. And I just couldn't in good conscience do that. But she did use the term psychic medium, but she had grown up in Africa. She was Caucasian, but she'd grown up in Africa. Her family had been missionaries, and they had died, and she had been raised by the tribe that her family was ministering to, and she wanted to claim that she was the first African American psychic medium. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. You're white. I just can't even begin. I mean, I come up with some great branding techniques, but I can't even go there. That you're asking me to do the impossible. But in the process of talking about that, the whole psychic medium thing, so many people view it, because of the charlatans who've come along, in such a negative light. Right. So I get, my question was just in general, though, do you find that when you refer to yourself that way, that people shut down? Do they open up? Does it depend on the person, the social setting? I'm just trying to get a feel.
I have to say, the work that I've done on television and my reputation precedes me. So in and of itself, people know who I am. And I've worked damn hard for me to have that good reputation. So that for me has been easy as at that point. But it happened very quickly after my illness and I left being a cop. So it happened really fast for me. I've been very sick. So I had almost died. I said, if you let me stay, I'll do your work because I need to be with my child. And I'm not reneging on that. He's number one guy. I'm not reneging. So I stopped being a cop. I left, I resigned, and I started doing this work. And it was tough in the beginning, but it happened very rapid. And my reputation started, and then the TV started, and I was able to show to America on A&E. I didn't know one person that walked in. It was cold readings throughout the whole day. I didn't know one person that walked in, didn't know one place I went. Integrity is my middle name. So, it's on that level. I think we've proved to people that there are people that are real versus the people that are the charlatans. If you're driving on the highway and you see the neon hand in the window, you don't stop.
Right.
So I think we've educated some people about it. I really think we did.
Well, I have to agree. I do think that many of the TV shows such as yours and other things have kind of broadened everyone's perspective of what it is to be intuitive, to be psychic. Now, one of the things that I've asked several psychic mediums who've been on the show, do you not think that as human beings, all of us have that gift to an extent because we are spirit beings. We are composed of mind, body, and soul, mind, body, and spirit, whatever you want to call it. So at some point, all of us have the ability to tap into that. We've lost it. We've trained ourselves out of it. We've overeducated ourselves. We've over religionized ourselves to the point that we've gotten rid of that deep down, honest to God connection with God, with one another, and with the universe as a whole.
I think that people, on a general, have that being inside of them that is intuitive. For instance, I know for a fact, this happens to be someone I know, they hit the World Trade. Okay. People didn't go into work that day. Some people ran out of the building. Some people stayed. Some people just listened to higher managers and said, do not leave, in which they will perish. My point is this. Do I believe they had a gift? No. I believe there's certain gifts that God gives to certain people. Just like I'm not Mariah Carey. Okay? That's what it is. We all...
But, don't sing. But would you want to be?
I can't sing to save my life.
Nope, me neither. Yep.
So, okay. So in the distribution of these gifts, being psychic would be one of them. Intuitive would be something that we can all say that we are in touch with or that we have, and some people have it more than others. But as I said, a true psychic would be a gift, and using that as Mariah Carey would be kind of how I would explain it. And having yourself in touch with your abilities on an intuitive level says, I got to get the hell out of this building. Something's not right. That doesn't make them psychic, but it makes them really on point with their gut and their third eye.
Exactly. Now on the tail end of that, going along the same lines, growing, I've alluded to kind of my past. I grew up in a very, very structured, evangelical, Southern, Baptist religious home, where there was, no belief in psychics. There was, if we did believe in them, they were witches, and we wanted to burn them and drown them and hang them and things like that.
Okay, now I'm really worried.
I don't hold those views. That was just the way that the church and the religious environment in which I was raised. However, I remember very distinctly, and I've told this story on this program when we've had other psychic mediums on. One of the pastor's wives told a story about being upstairs in their home and very distinctly hearing a voice that told them they needed to go downstairs and check on their daughter, who she had just seen a few minutes before. And so she did. And when she got there, the little girl was actually unconscious. She had swallowed a Lego. And it had obstructed the airway, and she had passed out, and she was able to perform CPR and resuscitate her and bring her back. And her explanation, of course, was that God, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, had tapped into that maternal instinct and heightened it to a sense that she heard literally a voice that told her she needed to go. Now, that is looking at that through the eyes of religion. Now, if we look at that through the eyes of the paranormal, the supernatural, that was a psychic revelation that she received. That she had to go.
Strong intuition.
A strong intuition. Exactly. So I guess what I'm saying is a lot of times I think, depending on our culture, depending on our environment, we're referring to the same thing. We're just using different terms many times.
Listen, I had Teresa Giudice the first time I met Teresa Giudice from the New Jersey Housewives.
Mm-hmm.
She looked at me and she said to me, "You're a psychic? Well, aren't you evil?" And I looked at her and I said, "Teresa,
oh, we go, yes, yeah. I am. You should run."
Yeah.
Oh, do the impersonation again. I want the impersonation.
Like, aren't you evil? And I said to her, "Teresa, if I was evil, I'd be living in your house."
Oh, you went
nice there. One.
Yeah, gotta be careful of the witch's tongue. And I think that's the precedent that's really pissed me off most of my life, is that it's that type of thing of saying, look, I've shown you who I am, but before that, I didn't want to get involved in this. I didn't want to be scrutinized. I didn't want to hear all this charlatan stuff. I didn't want to hear it's fake. But in my old shop, I encountered a very old Afro-American woman with her pillbox hat on from down south, and she looked at me like I was the devil incarnate.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never forget it. That whole Bible Belt thing was right in front of my face, and I looked at her and I just said, "You have a blessed day." Because anybody that knows me knows that I am the furthest thing from evil. But, the stipulation, there's people that cheat, lie, steal all day long. It's done by doctors. It's by cancer hospitals. It's done in every aspect of life. But yet I'm the one that's scrutinized the most, who does the most good for humanity. I got a hard pill with it.
Mm-hmm. That I understand. I mean, it really is the going back to what I was asking about the stereotypes and what people think based on terms, and honestly that they've had indoctrinated in them that because you say you're this, then you have to be evil, you have to be bad, that sort of thing. Now, I want to go back just a second and talk. There's two things in particular I want to address before the end of the show. One of those being the fact that you realized you had this ability, this gift, at the age of 3. And I call it an ability and a gift. You called it a curse. You're like, it sucks. But that's what it is.
Yeah.
And you discovered it at 3. By the age of 11, you were actually, helping friends and family members by readings and things like that. How did you go? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was reading my teachers at school and grammar school. I predicted my best friend's father's death in 5th grade.
Wow.
I mean, this has been something that I've been all of my life. This is the part that cracks me up because, I know people in the area, whatever, we're all in this everybody kind of knows of each other. And all of a sudden there's a girl who's never had this ability, and now she's 50 years old, and all of a sudden she's like, Jesus came and told me I could talk to the dead. I'm like, girl, you're just crazy. Because this type of a thing doesn't happen overnight. You know, it's not like the movie Powder. We're not struck by lightning. So it's really something that I have to say, it's been very hard in my lifetime as a child. You're just learning life. And then to take this and throw this on top of it, it really is, it's not a gift, I can assure you. It is now, but it's not at that time to be 3 and seeing dead people in your house at night. And people that have this know what I'm talking about.
It would be much more Sixth Sense than Supernatural.
Yeah, they had to blow that movie, by the way. They couldn't have just kept it simple.
Oh, no, couldn't do that.
No. They had to make it the brunt of like Saturday Night Live. It was just scandalous. So that just makes you more retract and go in a hole even more. I mean,
Right.
At that time I wasn't out, only to family. So I wasn't thrilled about that movie.
You know, I'm curious.
And I'm really not thrilled about Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost either, okay?
How do you really feel about it? I mean, don't hold back. Just tell us, how do you really feel about it, Tia?
I needed to get that off my psychic chest, okay?
You betcha. No, well, I'm curious because you've said that you are Wiccan, and typically, like the Wiccans and pagans don't believe in the devil himself. But did this recent encounter, kind of sway you back towards, well, maybe there is something like that there?
You know what? Listen, this is the way that I feel, and it's completely different. This is my own opinion.
Okay.
By the way, I'm allowed to have one. So
Absolutely.
for anybody Wiccan, that's home, like, you know, losing their mind right now. Take it down, girl. Take it down. This is the way that I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Wiccan is on the pretense of what we live in and the earth in which we live in. Am I right?
Very true. Mm-hmm.
Why can I not believe in my God, which I've believed in all my life,
Mm-hmm.
do my work with the earthbound and the earth in which I live in, and never lose my faith? I have people that actually come out and say, Tia, I love doing my work. I love having that, but I love using my God with it. People feel like they've needed to hide because if you didn't just deal with Mother Earth and you were not on board, and, you know, I'm a little sick and tired of feeling like you don't have your own way in this world. So This is my way. This works for me. I'm very happy, and so are the people that are my followers with this. And to each his own is how I shall leave that.
That's fine. I was just curious on your beliefs on that because, you know, I've met both. I respect both. I was just curious on it.
Yeah. You know, I've done work with a lot of different people and pagans and it's just, you know, spent a lot of time in Salem. This has been something that's been culminating. I've been doing witchcraft since I'm 11. This is something that's just culminated for me in my life to go in this route. I find it works for me. It's the most comfortable for me. I can't live without God. I can't live without that. It's just who I am.
Perfect.
But, you know, I'd love to dig my feet in, you know, in the, you know, summer solstice, I'm digging my feet in that soil. So it is who I am, to be appreciative of life.
Perfect.
Now, going
We'll
back,
be getting the nasty emails on that one, won't we?
Oh, I doubt it. And I'll field them if I have to.
Yeah, I was going to say, you and Wendy can handle the nasty Wiccan hate mail that we're going to get, which is great because typically I get the hate mail. I think we're the only talk show that has a disclaimer, not for our guests, but for one of the co-hosts, that what comes out of my mouth, we are not responsible for.
Yeah. But we have dealt with the self-proclaimed, you know, the Christio-pagan circles, witches circles here in Kansas City. So, it's all just natural and perfect, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I really think that's what we should be allowed to without having people scrutinize one another. You know, isn't there's bigger things to worry about than what I'm doing, is my philosophy.
Oh, good Lord, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I'm boring. Leave me be. Go do what you got to do.
True. Very.
Yeah, I was probably one of the first people to go up and start blowing up spells on national television. So I didn't know if there was going to be the cross burning when I left my house at night or what was going to happen to me. But we were actually well received, which is crazy. But it was actually well received. So I'm thankful to that, and I'm blessed by it.
That's very awesome. Very, very cool.
Yes, definitely.
Now, one other thing that I wanted to touch on just real quickly, we've got about 10 minutes left in
we
the
got
show.
however much time we want, Travis. You know that.
This is true. We do.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy loves keeping me up. You know, I've been going 18, 19 hours already. She just loves pushing that limit to see just how stupid I can get with the lack of sleep.
Hey, it's little things in life that get you through. Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true.
You still working that.
Yeah. I have a diet that consists of coffee and wine. That's pretty much what I live on. Uppers and downers, like Elvis Presley.
Fun.
Oh, no, you mentioned, and you haven't elaborated, and you may not want to, and that's fine if you don't, but your near-death experience. I mean, you talked about...
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I've talked to several individuals who now have termed themselves psychic mediums, that the turning point for them was a near-death experience. So I find it very interesting that in your case, that was the same for you.
And a lot of us are Catholic, by the way, too. John Edwards pointed that out. Yeah, mm-hmm. John Edwards was the one that pointed out that a lot of us are Catholic, which I do understand, because we do have the most conviction in our prayer, and which is what we were doing when we were together, me and Bill. But I had went for a small surgery. I was working. Listen, I was going to be a detective till I died. This stuff was strictly for at-home purposes. That's it. And I started to get very sick, and I'm like, I don't feel well. So I called up my captain, and I said, I'm going to be a little late to HQ, getting a prescription. He's like, no problem, T. So I stop at the hospital to go see my sister. She's a nurse, and she's a very brilliant nurse. And the next thing I know, I have a staph infection. And wow. I'm just about on the cusp of going septic.
Oh, lovely. I did that once.
It was bad. I got so sick. Mm-hmm. I got so sick, and I felt the clock. Your body at death becomes a clock that ticks very slowly. Tick, tick, tick. And I said, I'm dying. And I started to go, and I saw the light, and I said, please, 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 I'll do your work. I was divorced. I was a single parent. I had one son, and he wouldn't have been able to handle my death. I knew it. So I said, if you let me stay, I'll do your work. Ergo, here we are.
And there you go.
And how long ago was that?
Renege on that.
And how long ago was that, if you don't mind me asking?
That was 2007.
Okay, so 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you have been performing this service for a decade.
Well, if you want to use the time I was in a closet, it would be a hell of a lot longer.
You were a closeted psychic medium.
I always tell, I do have a lot of gay friends, so I always tell my gay friends, I was in the closet the same way you were.
That's funny.
So yeah, I was a closet psychic.
That is too funny. Now, what are you doing besides helping Bill Bean perform deliverances on families on the East Coast? What is Psychic Tia up to? What projects are you working on?
We're doing a lot of travel. So, people go onto my website, which is www.thecraftbytia.com. And my shop is called The Craft. We're in Woodland Park, New Jersey. And we're doing a lot of traveling now. So we're going to be doing a little bit more open forum. We're going to be doing a little bit of the private readings for people upon travel. We still work. My assistant Trish works with me in my shop. So we still get people that come in from all over to get readings. And just trying to help humanity every single day, making life a little bit better, clearer.
Awesome. What about TV? Is that something, I'm not asking this from a psychic standpoint, is that something in the future? I mean, is that off the table? Is that something you would consider again?
No, it's definitely with the right project. I mean, you know, you live and you learn, because the last time that I had done it, I probably would have not went with the production company that I was with. They didn't understand what a psychic was. They had no clue. So working with them, you know, they were so used to filming housewives that now to be working in my arena, they were really off kilter. And that was frustrating for me. So you live and you learn. If I found another production company that was more in tune with people like myself, that would give me a little bit more incentive to get back in the game.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, TV executives are not the brightest people in the world. I mean, they're not. I mean, I've worked with them. Radio executives are not the brightest people in the world. They know one thing, and that is, you know, their medium. And I don't mean that in the psychic sense. I mean, they know television, they know radio. That's what they know.
Right.
And it does make it very difficult when they come to you and they're like, oh, well, we're gonna package you like this, and you're like, no, that doesn't even come close to what I am or what I do.
Well, I think that when they put Miss North Carolina on my show, and I looked at the executive and I said to her, what are you doing? And she's like, we like that Northern Jersey girl with that Southern dichotomy. And I looked at her, I go, beauty queens don't speak. Do you understand what you've just done to me?
Oh, yeah. Now, what would have been... Nothing was right. Yeah, I was going to say, what would have been funny and what would have worked better is if they'd put you, on with like a Southern female evangelical pastor, a female pastor, and they talk, and they love to talk, and that would have been fun. Then you could have had the dialect, you could have had the accents, all kinds of stuff going on there, the different beliefs, all that would have been hell. I would watch that, and I don't watch TV.
Listen, I would have got locked up if you would have done that to me. Okay.
But people would have watched. The ratings would have gone through the roof. I mean, it would have been amazing. Yeah. It would have been awesome.
Third episode, third filming, that would have been it. You would have heard sirens.
Yep. I worked for a couple of years with a production company out of LA that produced some reality TV shows. We did a couple of sizzle reels and a couple of pilots with them, and it was so funny because people, when they would come to us and pitch their ideas and things like that, they were like, it's like this show. I'm like, you don't understand. I don't watch TV. It's like I used to love to read. I was an avid reader. I had a ferocious appetite for reading books. I loved. I would read multiple books at the same time. Then I started representing authors as a PR consultant and as their publicist. I stopped reading because it became work. It was no fun. Reality TV was work. It was no fun anymore. It was, it's like now I listen to the radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week because I manage 2 radio stations. I don't listen for fun. It's not relaxing. I don't get to chill and drive, and listen to my favorite songs. I have to listen for people screwing up on the radio or an ad not playing. It becomes work. So I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So I have to ask this. As a psychic medium, you are interchanging your energy with someone else when you're reading them. Is that an accurate? I mean, you're reading their energy, but you're also giving them a little bit of yours every time that you're interacting with them.
Well, I think that the process in and of itself, when you start to unleash that, you do exude your energy, which you have to learn to control. If you don't learn to control that, you're just going to be depleted.
Right, so and that's what that was my question. How do you recharge? How does psychic deal?
It's like anyone else. You have to learn to control things. If you're not in control, what happens? Things go awry. once you know who you are, you see, that's why the part about being a psychic, I'll give you, for instance, if I came out at 20 and said, I'm a psychic, they would have been like, but she's just a little baby.
Yeah.
And you're not really, right? You're not lassoing things. What life experience does she have? So you really can't really be this until you're older.
Right.
Because what comes with age? Experience. And knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
So it's getting older, which isn't one of my favorite things to do. But that does definitely work and just makes you stronger and stronger at this gift.
Well, I think that's true in any professional field. I remember when I started out, I mean, I've been in broadcasting and media for 25 years, and I started out as on air, and then I got into sales and marketing and PR, and I did it very young. I'll be 42 next month, but I've been doing this since I was 16. And
wow.
So early on, I used to dress in suits and three-piece suits and French cuff dress shirts, because I had to earn respect,
right,
from a sales and a marketing standpoint. Now I just don't care. I mean, I have the battle scars, I have the gray hair, I have the wrinkles. I don't care if you're not going to listen to me based on my experience of 25 years of doing this. Then screw you, go with somebody else. And that's just that's just the approach that I've taken. It was funny. I was talking to my daughter. I posted a picture to Facebook from 6 years ago where she had me dress up like Tony Stark from the Iron Man movies. And I did. And I was looking at the picture. I'm like, there's not a damn gray hair in my head. And I now look like Doctor Strange because I've got gray temples and gray hair, and my mustache and goatee have gray. And I'm like, that's a hell of a lot of gray in 6 years. But with the gray comes the experience, and with the experience comes the gray. So.
And I'm kind of comfortable there. So I dig what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally cool with it. I go into consult now. I go into sales offices and visiting clients. I'm wearing jeans and a dress shirt, maybe a blazer, maybe a jacket, maybe not. I don't know. Just depends on what mood I'm in when I get up that morning, quite frankly. Hell, they're lucky if I comb my hair anymore.
Listen, during this interview, I look like Pebbles. So I totally get where you're at.
Hey, that's what I love about radio. I'm sitting here in sweatpants and a T-shirt, drinking my Pinot Noir, and we're having a great time. So I don't have to dress up on this show.
There you go. Well, I'm not wearing anything, so I think I come you on that one.
Now, see, that radio show starts in about an hour, and we run through the rest of the night. Oh my God. How can folks get in touch with you? How can individuals follow you? How can they, I mean, if they're wanting, you mentioned doing readings via Skype, phone, things like that. This is the perfect platform to tell them how they can do that.
Well, I'd love for people to get involved. We're going to be doing a podcast after the first of the year. All the information for the podcast will be given on my Facebook, my Twitter, or my Instagram, which is Psychic Tia. So you can look for us there. If you have any difficulties at all, please call me. You can find the number at the craft. Just Google me, Psychic Tia. I come up. If you have any questions or information, Tricia will be happy to answer that for you. We will be taking calls. We will be doing live podcasts. So if people want to ask questions or they're having some problems within their home, we are more than willing to work with them. So all the new things about travel will be listed on my website. So again, www.thecraftbytia.com.
Awesome. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot. You come back on the show again in a couple of months and talk to us again?
I would love to. Can I be naked again?
Of course. I will be. Well, it'll be like Caligula on radio. It'll be great.
Listen, if the psychic thing doesn't work out, I'm definitely doing the drive-through. I
love it.
You know where I'm going with that.
I know where
right?
you're going. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I think that's the next step. It'll be Tia in Nevada, part 2.
Tia in Nevada. I love it. It's great. Oh my God! Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I hate that Bill Bean wasn't able to, but I really love the fact that you were here.
It was a pleasure, and I just want to wish everyone a happy holiday, much love, much peace from my heart, and a happy New Year.
As do Wendy and I, because we actually will not be talking. We don't have any shows this weekend, do we?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, if you don't know, then, hell, we don't have any. So, you keep me straight. I don't know. Next week, we did have a cancellation this past weekend. Paul Davids. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Paul Davids?
Yep.
Yes, Paul Davids. Blowing America's Minds. The CIA, LSD, mind control among college campus students in the 1960s and 1970s. He was going to be on the show. He had a family emergency on Sunday. We had to cancel that show. We're going to be rescheduling it. We may reschedule that maybe next Wednesday, or it may be sometime in between. Who knows? We're fluid like that. We just kind of roll. I've got to check with him and see what his availability is. And then next week will be the last episode of this year. That's hard to believe that 2017 has come and gone.
I know it. Seems like it's been about a week and a half.
A week and a half of hell. But yeah, honestly, it's bizarre. It was so funny. I had a text message about 7:30 tonight from a cousin who I've been friends with on Facebook for a couple of years, and he just messaged me tonight. And he's like, "I didn't know you had co-hosted a show." I'm like, "Dude, I've been doing this for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in March."
And thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. But actually, I don't know if he's listening in tonight, Matthew, because he said he was going to try. Matthew, I hope you enjoyed the show. It was fun. I hope you're doing better. He actually had some surgery a couple of months ago and is recuperating. So hope he's doing better. Yeah, 2 years.
We are sending him white light.
Yes.
Absolutely.
White light to Matthew.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But we did. We started the show 2 years ago, March 2000. Well, it'd be 2 years this coming spring. It was March 2016. I actually remember the very first show that we did. I was drinking. Imagine that. Imagine me leading with "I was drinking."
Say it ain't so, Joe.
I love you. Did I tell you I love you?
Thank you. I love you right back. I was drinking tequila on the rocks.
Oh God.
I was drinking tequila on the rocks and smoking a Nicaraguan cigar. I can't afford Cubans. I had to go with the Nicaraguan.
We're going to have to change that.
I know. I'm going to have to upgrade to Cubans. But I remember I was outside. It was crisp, early spring night, and we were doing the Aztec UFO incident. That was the very first show that we did.
Yep, I remember.
And we actually need to get them back on because we need to have all three of those authors to discuss that, especially in the wake of the new disclosure by the U.S. government on this $22 million UFO government project that has all these video footages that are floating around the internet now. It's like, oh wow, the government's admitting the fact they've been watching the skies. Well, hell, you guys were told to do that at the end of the original Thing from Another World with James Arness. Keep watching the skies. I love that movie. But yeah, I do. So it's hard to believe it's been 2 years. And if we don't have a guest, maybe next week we'll just do a retrospective. That's what I'm doing on my AM talk show on the radio station. We're doing a year in review, which is going to be all kinds of fun. I don't know how I could top Santa Claus, though. That was the guest this morning. I mean, that's pretty fucking fun.
I can't believe you didn't invite him on.
I thought about it. I really did.
Mm-hmm.
we'll be posting what's going on as far as guests and other topics. Nick Redfern's coming back on the end of January to talk the Slender Man story that he has written, and looking very forward to having that on. And then we have Bill, of course, will be back on. Andrea Perrin's coming back on. We've got a lot of great guests, and of course, Tia is going to be coming back on in a couple of months too. Wine in hand, and no clothing apparently. So clothing optional. Clothing optional.
Clothing optional.
Mystic Moon Cafe, clothing optional. Wendy, we need to put that in the disclaimer. We put that in the banner.
Well, you're the one who does that, so yeah.
When listening to Mystic Moon Cafe, clothing is optional.
There we go. We're all going right to hell on this one.
It's all natural, baby, so there is no hell involved.
Please. Oh my God.
Yeah, that'll be. I'll make sure we put that on the website also.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Make sure that we let people know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Tia, thank you so much for being a guest tonight. It has been an extreme.
My pleasure.
It has been ours. Thank you so much. You're a wonderful guest. Want to have you come back on. I really want to delve into what happened between the age of 3 and the near-death experience.
You got it.
Want to do that.
You should definitely be drinking for that.
I guarantee you.
If I may interject here, I was curious about what services are offered at the craft.
Well, we have a full Wiccan shop here, so we do a lot of spell work. And I do my readings here, so I love when I do my one-on-one readings. But it's quite a unique little place that it's a beautiful energy. People really love when they come in here. Some people are a little nervous. And I actually hand make spiritual bracelets that are on my website that I bless.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Very, very nice.
Yes, I'll send you some, girl.
Oh, all right. Yay.
Oh, okay. I am feeling totally like rejected.
Okay, I'm just going to send you a Cuban cigar, and then we'll be even.
True dat.
How's that?
That works. I'm okay with that. I am definitely okay with that. Now, I got one quick question, because there seems to be, and you mentioned it, John Edwards talking about the transition from Catholics to psychic mediums and things like that. My ex-wife was raised Catholic. She is now a practicing what she calls Christian Wiccan. And then we had Mike Nichols from Kansas City on a couple weeks ago, raised Catholic, now a practicing witch.
Well, now he's been that since, golly, the 70s.
70s, right,
Mm-hmm.
very early on.
Yes. I was raised Catholic.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so my question is, do you find that having been raised in the Catholic faith, it's an easier transition? Because I know growing up evangelical Baptist, it would be a hell of a leap to be able to jump from what I was raised with to being a practicing, pagan Wiccan, or which, even though, basically I'm a practicing heathen, but that's beside the point.
Oh, I told you I loved you.
It's good to be self-aware.
And I am.
Yes.
I'm very self-aware.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Listen, I've gone 2 hours and didn't curse. I'm very proud of myself.
Oh, you were holding back. I'm so sorry. I can always, click that one little part that says, okay, you need to be at least halfway adult.
Yeah, no. I do.
That means they have to be
my clients know.
That means they have to be 9 years old. Halfway to adults, 9 years old. They need to be older than that for this show.
Shut up, Travis.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be a good Catholic girl, Travis. Now stop.
Oh, you've got do you have the school
are you wearing the schoolgirl outfit? I know. No, she's already told us she's not wearing anything.
Travis, you're opening up doors because I can go put that on. You're opening up doors now.
You're not that far. I'm not that far from New Jersey.
I don't think there was a transition. I think one has nothing to do with the other. I just kind of embrace things. I don't think that much about it. I've done work in Santeria. I've done work in different religions. I don't think that much about them. One has nothing to do with the other. I don't need to forsake something in order to embrace something.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I was 4 classes. I'm still 4 classes away from completing a master's in theology, and I was actually working on a. Shut up, Wendy. On a thesis.
Is that before you were asked to leave the Southern Baptist Church?
I still keep waiting for them to break into my house in the middle of the night and take the ordination back. They have kept they have left me ordained. They haven't taken. I haven't been defrocked. Not that I know of. No,
it's always there.
Yeah, I know it's always there. See, my belief, and this was literally one of the problems that I had with organized religion. When I talk to people, whether they are Jewish, whether they're Muslim, whether they're Native American, whether they are Wiccan, pagan, I pick up on a commonality. There is a common belief. The commonalities far outweigh the differences, in all honesty.
Right.
And I had a problem standing in front of a congregation, standing in a pulpit, and telling people they had to believe one way.
Agreed.
Because I don't think that that's the way it works.
Yep.
I think there is, and I'm using, the terminology that I was familiar with. There is God, and God can be whatever you imagine and believe God to be. There is God. I don't really think God cares what road you take to get to Him, or it, or her, or whatever. I think if you find that connection, that peace, that whatever is working for you, then good for you, because there's a hell of a lot of people that don't even get that far in this life.
Amen.
And that is, of course, the smoking cigars, drinking scotch, and other vices that I developed were not viewed favorably by the Southern Baptist Convention, but that had nothing to do with it. I just said, I can't in good conscience stand in front of a congregation and say, you have to do this, you have to attend church, you have to sing this song, you have to sit in this seat. I can't do that, because I'm not going to do that. That's not the way my life works. That's not the way I'm built. Mm-hmm. Wired, exactly. God knows I'm cross-wired so many ways it's not even funny. But I can't do that. And I'm not going to tell somebody you have to do that. And, as I mentioned, I had been a chaplain for the sheriff's department. I got tired. I really got damn tired of, at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, riding with a deputy to go tell somebody that their child had died of an overdose, or that they had been killed in a car accident. And sitting there and them wanting me to be the answer,
right.
Why did this happen? I can't tell you why. All I can tell you is how to deal with it. All I can tell you is...
That's very well said. Very well said.
I mean, I can't tell you why any of this happened. What I can tell you is, and I hated when people would tell me, well, and other chaplains and other pastors would say, well, it's going to get better. No, it's not. It's going to get different. It's never going to get better. That pain of loss is never going to get better. It'll get different.
Right.
There'll be some days it doesn't hurt as bad. There'll be some days it hurts more. There'll be some days it's good memories. There'll be some days it's bad memories. There'll be some days you shake your fist at the sky and curse what you know is God. And there'll be some days that you lay in bed clinging to what you know is God. It's just going to be different day to day, and you just have to write it out. But nobody wants to hear that when it's happening.
the truth. The truth. It's very well said. I've actually used your terminology in here quite often because I do. Listen, I love to laugh. I'm the first one to try and bring joy, but you just touched on something that I do get a lot in here. The people that lose children, people that lose young people.
Yes.
Their young spouse. Does it suck? Yeah. Is it great to prove to them that they're still somewhere in some sort of an essence that they're still alive? That matters more.
Yes, absolutely. That they are continuing to exist. And that's what I told people. You have to cling to the fact that you remember them. And I, the Southern Baptists hated this. I would tell them, you know what? Talk to your loved one who's passed on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Talk to them. Mm-hmm. Tell them what you're thinking.
Is that before or after the snakes came out, Travis?
Southern Baptists don't. Southern Baptists don't do snakes. And quite frankly, I was in the Assembly of God for a while, and I told them, standing from the pulpit, if handling a snake gets me to heaven, I'll fucking go to hell, because I ain't touching a snake. I don't like snakes.
I have a good story for you the next time we go on. So just remind me to tell you about the snake story, because it's really hysterical. It's a very funny story back when I was a teenager, but we'll go on that the next time I talk to y'all.
I cannot wait to hear, because I don't like snakes.
Nor I.
I make Indiana Jones look butch.
That's my boy.
I do. I have been terrified of snakes since I was a kid. And Wendy knows this. I will watch horror movies all night long.
Yeah.
I fall asleep to The Exorcist on a regular basis. I love the theme music. I will fall asleep to The Wolfman. I will fall asleep to any horror movie.
Cuddle bear you are.
I am.
Cuddle bear.
I am.
Oh, my Lord. No, I asked why I was single. I can tell you why you are.
Yeah, me, I'm like Ron Weasley. Why did it have to be spiders? Why couldn't it be butterflies?
Okay, fair enough. You know what? There has to be a woman out there who loves, Netflix and cuddle, quote unquote, to The Exorcist or a horror movie. There has to be. You
better call June.
Well, you're talking to one.
There you
go. laying in bed, cuddling, drinking wine, watching a horror movie. That is the perfect day.
I'm usually on a haunting, so that's usually where I'm stuck.
That works too. That works too.
Okay. I'm like, no, I didn't do that right.
Well, yeah. Of course, I watch The Exorcist. I watch The Conjuring, The Conjuring 2, The Unborn. And this is horrible. I love the demonic possession movies. I really do. Because I love that triumph of good over evil. I really do. But I mean, I've got my daughter. My daughter's 13. She is addicted to the new Fox series, The Exorcist. Addicted to it.
Apples don't fall far now, do that?
No, they do not. But and it was so funny. I don't know if you watched the series, but there are two priests. One is Latino, Father Tomas, and then the other is Father Marcus, and he's British. I just knew my daughter was going to think that Tomas was hot, and she would. No, she loves the British bean. My daughter is all about, but she's an Anglophile. She's a Cumberbitch. She loves Benedict Cumberbatch. She loves Tom Ellis. She loves Tom Hiddleston. She loves Ben Daniels. She loves all of these British actors, and it's so funny. She cracks me up. So I actually had planned to take my kids this weekend to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, to Dollywood for the weekend before Christmas, and my daughter messages me literally tonight, and she's like, "I know you want to take us to Dollywood and to Pigeon Forge." And I texted back, yeah, that was the plan. She's like, can we please, please, please do an Exorcist marathon?
Instead,
Oh my God, she's hysterical.
really? Oh my God.
yes, that was what that.
I really want to go to Dollywood. Okay. I've seen that stuff up. I've had it up front and personal. I'd rather go see Dolly.
I know.
Exactly.
She goes, can we please binge watch both seasons? That's 20 episodes. I'm like, sure. I've got to cook. I've got to make, appetizers for the Christmas Eve dinner at my parents' house. So sure, we can binge watch 20 hours of The Exorcist. That's awesome.
Very cute.
I love it.
I'll have to put that Dollywood on my list one day.
Come down. I'll take you. I've been. Actually, they do business with. So
I can't even imagine what it's like. Is she like everywhere? Are there like little like cotton candy cones with her face on it? Like, what is this place like?
Did you ever watch the movie Fletch Lives with Chevy Chase?
Yeah.
He does the Bible land thing where the guy has his picture. Yeah, Dolly's face is fucking everywhere.
See, I knew that.
Everywhere.
I knew that.
But but at the same time,
that alone and cocktails, fabulous.
Yeah, but at the same time, that woman bailed that city out. I mean, she literally bought the town and sunk millions of dollars into their infrastructure and their economy. So
God bless her.
I mean, and she grew up there, and she just gave back, and she did. And when the fires were there last year, they had the forest fires. I mean, she gave money to fight the fire. She gave money to replant trees. I mean, she is there. Let's put it this way: there's a lot of places you can go where you see the person's face, and you're like, fuck you. You take your face down. Dollywood, yeah, that's fine. Keep your face and her cleavage.
I definitely on my bucket list.
And her cleavage. I mean, because she still it's amazing. The woman still has the 9-to-5 cleavage.
She does.
She does.
I would like to know the name of her doctor too. Okay. If not psychically, I'm going to be trying to pull that throughout the whole park.
It's and it literally is a fun park. I mean, she has done a great job. And the really funny thing was, I had not been to Dollywood. The last time that I had been was 1993, and then I went 2 years ago. So it had been like 22 years since I had been. Oh. When I went, it was all country music and everything. And now you go to Dollywood and there's gospel music, there's rock and roll, there's 50s, 60s, there's country. It's this very neat, eclectic mix of music throughout the park, depending on where you are. They've done a really, really good job. I really have to say I applaud the people putting it together, their marketing, everything. They've done an excellent job.
Sounds very cool. It sounds very cool. There's nothing like that in New Jersey, so I can't hit you up with anything here. I mean, just the Jersey Shore. That's all we got.
You come down to Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, I'll hook you up. I've got all kinds of things.
And by the way, as everyone is listening to my voice, the people on Jersey Shore are from New York. So can everyone please learn that for a minute? Thank you very much for a hot second.
What are you saying? That the people on the Jersey Shore, their accent is not indicative?
We don't talk like Jersey. It's not like that. Everybody don't talk like that. But the minute that they watch that show, what's the first thing that people think? And the irony is that no one was from New Jersey on the show. Everyone was from New York.
Well, of course not. It's reality TV. There's not a goddamn thing real about reality TV.
Wait a minute now. Take the dagger out my heart.
No, I'm sorry. There's not. Yeah.
Our show, I have to say, we really did readings on spot. I knew nothing of anyone coming in. Yes, Housewives, I've worked with that. they tell them what to say because they need to, honey. You know they do.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I don't think they've learned. They don't know the word improv.
So they might be a lot of fun on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Let's do the diagram. You fight with her, and then you fight with her, and then you hit her. Segment over. It's over.
And yes, and that's exactly that. When I was when I was doing the reality TV shows for this company in LA, it's like, okay, the reality part is the reaction. That's the only thing that's real. Everything else is scripted. You script what's going on. You manipulate the scene. You just film their reaction. That is what's real. And then you edit it. Reality TV is made in the editing room.
Very well said.
I mean, it is, because the reaction that you're seeing is real, quote unquote. But it may not be the reaction to what's actually happening.
Right.
Because what you are seeing and what is being edited and what's being the reaction are three different things, but they are real. It all happened, yes.
Just not at the same time.
Not at the same time, exactly. And that's what people don't understand. They're like, oh my God, did you see what happened in the last 3 minutes? Oh, what you saw in the last 3 minutes of the show took 3 fucking months to record.
Listen, I can't watch reality TV. I can't do it. Can't do it.
Nope.
No can do.
Nope.
Yep.
And filming it, not my own show, but other shows, my IQ points begin to drop within the first half an hour of filming, and it becomes detrimental to my being.
Yes.
It's not, but people are so taken by it, and I think it's starting to wear off personally. That's just my general opinion. But I think it's not where it was, say, 10 years ago.
No, and we've had that conversation on this show, especially about paranormal and supernatural reality TV. It is nowhere near what it was a decade ago, because now everyone has gotten to the point where that the supernatural paranormal shows, it's all about the shock, the ratings and the shock factor. Nobody cares about the actual investigation and the story, and whether or not you help the family, for God's sakes. I mean, you go in and yes, there's shit happening and the family's dealing with something, but here's your video footage and you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you later. And that was one of the things that Bill and I had worked on, was finding a way to bridge that gap with homes that had hauntings and paranormal activity. Was, okay, so you find something and you just give the footage to the family and say, yeah, you got something here. How do you help them?
Oh yeah, no, they just pretend to be scared, climb over each other, and then they leave.
Exactly.
It blows my mind, and my philosophy is this: 3 guys that lay carpet for a living that all of a sudden determine that they're going to go out and go ghost hunting.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's it.
So, and that's been driving.
Tia?
It shows she's still on there, but... Ooh, that's a lovely noise. Tia, if that's you, we have definite interference and no voice.
That's static electricity from the fact that she's not wearing any clothes.
There we go. There you are.
I'm good for something. I can bring.
My next show will be where from the head down it'll just be that blur.
There you go.
We'll just frighten the demons away. We won't have to do anything else.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be the case.
That'll be it. We'll just do it, and instead of a drive-by, we'll just be doing a walkthrough.
Oh my God.
Okay, you two, you're very dangerous.
We are. This is
But
why.
I had a lot of fun.
Thank you. We have enjoyed it. It has been a blast. Thank you so much.
And thank you for including me and my dear friend whom I love, Bill Bean.
He is awesome. I'm hoping to hear. He was supposed to call me from South Carolina. I'm thinking the sun and the beach may have interfered. I don't.
Not at this hour.
No, when he landed, this was yesterday. He promised me. He said, "I will call you when I touch down." Okay, Bill.
Listen, Bill hasn't seen the sun since 1977.
Oh, I know.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I know. You're probably right.
He's got bigger things to think about than lying in the sun. That's for
Yes,
sure.
he does.
But you
Yes,
can find me there. I'll be there.
So will I. I love it. So
That is my place where I recharge.
okay.
Yeah.
That is where I recharge. That is my place of peace. That's where I get my vitamin D. That's where my body gets its warmth, and I recharge there. That is my place. Until I run into a client, then it all goes down the hell.
You know, that was actually when I was in pastor. I would work out in the gym every day until people started coming up and wanting counseling and wanting this and wanting that. I'm like, God damn, I can't even run 3 miles on the treadmill without having to counsel somebody. And nobody understands that in that, whether you're a minister, a pastor, a psychic medium, whatever, you are giving and giving and giving of yourself. You have to have that opportunity to recharge. Right now, my ability to recharge is in the bar downstairs in the hotel that I live in. So that's where I go.
There you go.
That's where I go to recharge.
Well, I'm just happy I'm not a proctologist. So I'll take the good with the bad.
There you go.
Yep.
Awesome. Tia, thank you again for being on the show tonight, and we will definitely have you back on. Would love to have you back on after the first of the year.
Absolutely, me too. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Bye, kids.
And
Yep,
I
Merry
will.
Christmas.
There will be a holiday greeting. We actually ran a holiday special last year, didn't we? We did the special holiday show.
I think so. Yeah, I
We did.
believe we did. Mm-hmm.
I did. Yeah, I think so. So we may do that Sunday
very
night.
cool.
Yeah, I will. I need to pull that from my file, put that together. We will have a Christmas greeting and a Christmas show on Sunday, Christmas Eve.
Very cool.
Everyone,
I'll be on.
Oh, we are.
What? I don't know. I'm just tossing it out there.
Oh, okay. I think I've agreed to puppy sit.
Okay, then we will.
Yeah, I will watch the post.
Yes,
There will
watch
be
the posts and we'll work it out. I'm sure I can do that.
We'll figure it out.
Absolutely.
What song is taking us out, Wendy Lady? You are an amazing program director, so what song is going to end this? I know. What song is going to end the show?
I believe we'll do A Little Wicked by Valerie Broussard.
Sounds good to me.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Everyone have a safe week. Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Yule. Blessed
Happy
Yule. However
Yule.
you go with that one. Yep.
Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Ramadan. Whatever
Happy
your
holidays.
Happy holidays. Exactly.
Precisely.
Whatever flavor you actually enjoy.
That's right. All right.
And
All right. Music go.
That's what he calls me, 'cause that's what I am. That's what I am. No one calls you honey when you're sitting on a throne. No one calls you honey when you're sitting on a throne. Beware the patient woman, 'cause this much I know. No one calls you honey when you're sitting on a throne. One of these days are coming, I'm gonna take that boy's crown. There's a serpent in these still waters, lying deep down. To that king I will bow, at least for now. One of these days coming, I'm gonna take that boy's crown. 'Cause I am a little wicked. I am, 'cause I am. Hands raised, just like it said. I am a little wicked. No one calls you honey when you're sitting on a throne. I'll be high up in that tower, he'll be down there getting stoned. Beware the patient woman, 'cause this much I know. No one calls you honey when you're sitting on a throne. 'Cause I am a little wicked. Hands raised, just like you said. I am a little wicked. As I lay me down to sleep, I will not scream, I will not weep. If he should die before he wakes, I pray the Lord his soul to take. 'Cause I am a little wicked. I am, yes I am. Hands raised, just like you said. I am a little wicked. No one calls you honey when you're sitting on a throne. No one calls you honey when you're sitting on a throne.
Thank you for joining us tonight. You've been listening to Mystic Moon Cafe. Join us every Wednesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. On behalf of Wendy Schindler, this is Travis Short saying have a great rest of your week.